LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Premier League forecast, sponsored by bookmakers.com. Tonight, we're joined by Luke. How are you, mate? You good?
Not too bad, thank you.
All right. From Joe from Albion Obsessed. How are you, Joe?
How are you, mate? Yeah, not bad, not bad.
And Tim is a Manchester United fan of a good 35 plus years. How are you doing, Tim? You good?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been all right for most of them.
You've had your blip. You're back. Are you back?
Well, you may laugh, Kevin, but the last time I was on this show, I think it was the Friday before we played yourselves.
Yeah.
And you all said I thought we'd get a result. And but I think that was more. I think that was we rode our luck a little bit, but he's definitely it's too. I would still say it's. I don't think it's too early to say that he's the best manager we've had for the club post Fergie at that given time. I know you could argue Van Gaal's CV and Jose's CV and all the rest of it, but I think for what United need, I think he's the best fella that we've had at the helm since Fergie left. Just as a coach, if nothing else, in terms of what he's improving. Everyone he's working with, he seems to be improving. We're better without the ball in transition, and we're starting to click a little bit. Not sure about this big fella that's coming in through the window. Not sure how he'll fit in, but to be fair, he's earned. I think he's earned. I think you just have to trust him. I think you just have to say he obviously knows what he's doing. I'm not gonna critique him at all. Leave him at it. He's doing well.
Dead right. Right. We're going to look at four big games. Even to everyone in the chat, hope you guys are all well. If you could smash the like button, it would really help us out a lot. It's a little bit on bookmakers.com. It's a betting comparison site more than anything, and they also do statistics and team lineups and what have you, predictors. But the link is in the description below. Go on to have a look, see what you think. And it is really good. We're going to do some odds from there this week on the games that we're going to look at. And we'll start with this one, Luke. Wolves against West Ham. I mean, it's the one thing I'll say about all four games, or pretty much all the games in the Premier League this weekend. There's something on all of it. There's no bit of a DOS game. Every game this weekend, like this one, Wolves against West Ham, 19th against 17th. You wouldn't have had that in August. No. And what do you think first and foremost? You see that Wolves West Ham, one new manager and one manager. Do you think David Moyes is holding on a bit here?
Yes, I think so. I think on the back of the season that West Ham had, I think with the signings that West Ham brought in the summer, Scamacca, Paqueta, I think there was a big, and keeping Declan Rice as well, there was lots of interest from Chelsea. But I think the expectation of West Ham fans was to push on, to try and get into the Champions League. But they've just nosedived. I don't think David Moyes knows what his best 11 is. He's chopping and changing. Some of his transfers haven't worked out as yet. The centre-back they got from PSG, the centre-back they got from France, but got injured straight away. The Moroccan centre-half? I forgot what his whose
I know, name is. Agard, I think, or Agard. They paid 30 million for him.
It's big money, and I just don't think he is the one that is probably going to lose his job soon if they don't pick up results. But for Wolves, look, they should have beaten Liverpool at Anfield. I think with the whole VAR, the whole VAR rubbish. I thought they scored a legit goal. I thought that was definitely onside.
Yeah, they took the gift well as well.
They're signing players as well. I think they've signed. I think they're going to sign 3 midfielders, 1 attacker from PSG, in Sarabia, Danilo Pereira from Brazil, who's very highly rated. But yeah, Wolves. Both these teams need to get some momentum, because if you said at the beginning of the season, West Ham and Wolves, they're going to be battling down at the bottom to try and stay up, then you'd be saying, "Come on, relax a little bit."
Joe, I mean, I don't know how Brighton have gone against these two this season, but you guys are pretty much where West Ham were when they were on the climb to try to get into the top, top 4, top 6. Does this season show how ruthless this league really is at the minute?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you see the likes of us, Brentford, Fulham, Newcastle doing so well in the league at the moment. And you look back 4 years ago, we were all in the Championship. And Fulham looked as though they were going to be the standard yo-yo club forever, as the same as Norwich. But all of us have proven that you don't have to have money to compete in this league. And I think a lot of inspiration was taken probably from Leicester winning the league as well, of how people approach their transfer business and team cohesion, and it can get you a long way. We've beaten both West Ham and Wolves this season. Wolves was a tough game. We only won it in sort of the last 5 minutes. But I think Wolves will find themselves doing okay towards the end of the season, especially this last part of the season. So I think they'll be fine. But West Ham have got to be so careful, because there is the likes of Fulham and Brentford doing so well, and they probably expected them to be in the relegation scrap, and they're not there. So they haven't got many to fight with, and I think West Ham are losing their fight. So I don't know how long David Moyes stays in the job.
Well, Tim, you guys binned him off in under a season. He's done well at West Ham, to be fair, David Moyes.
I think. Sorry, I cut you short.
No,
sorry, Kev.
No, you're right. I was just going to ask you, like, has he credit in the bank with them to turn this around? Well, given the fact that he's got them consistent Europa League football, and does he deserve to see out this season and see what he can rebuild?
Well, there's 2 ways, in my opinion, of looking at this. In my opinion, he has credit in the bank. I think he was treated terribly by United, binning him off so early. I think he had a real rough deal. Obviously, he had a couple of horror shows, and I think he went to Sociedad after that, and obviously Everton and all the rest of it. But he's a good manager. I think he's a proven track record, really, in terms of grinding out Premier League results. His initial period at Everton. We look at where Everton are now. Look at what he left Everton in. Look at how he left Everton, and look at where Everton are now. I think he should have credit in the bank, but football's crazy, isn't it? Like, it's just getting more and more. It's just insane, and the money involved in staying in the Premier League and the precarious position that they're in. I don't know if he's going to get the time. You'd like to think so. I mean, just moving on from that, I think some of their bigger players have been poor this year. I don't think your man in midfield, Souček, I don't think he's carried on his form of last year. I don't think Bowen, at one point where he was supposedly banging on the England door, I don't think he's hit the same heights. Antonio's been hit and miss, I think. Rice is kind of huffed and puffed, but I'm not seeing £100 million midfielder there at the minute, and so I guess the flip then is well, why? Isn't that the manager's job to get a tune out of him? But I don't know. I think players need to look at themselves sometimes, and from where they were to where they are now, it's alarming. But I do think he has credit in the bank, and I do think they'll give him the season. I hope they do.
Yeah. Jonathan with a point there. Wolves have signed Liam Lerma, I think he's from Nice. He was the kid that
Is that
Bournemouth
Juve,
had.
then with Southampton?
Yeah. No, it's Bournemouth. I think. I thought it was Bournemouth signed him.
Lerma plays for Bournemouth.
Jefferson Lerma, yeah. And they paid 30 odd million for him. So there's another one in the door at Wolves. And he reckons that'll rule Thuram out. Sarabia and Gomez from Flamengo in January. They're backing Lopetegui to keep him up as well. I think. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Wolves, for me, are in a false position. Even just watching them under Lopetegui, they're a much improved side. They're much more organised, and there's method to the madness on their break. And you look at what Mateus Cunha offers them. He's not going to be. He's very much a Bobby Firmino type of striker. He's not a 9 in the traditional sense where he's going to run beyond and score bags of goals that way. But he'll link up play. He'll bring everyone else into play. I think when he settles in, I think Wolves will be safe. I think West Ham will be safe as well. I think there's 3 worse sides in the league than West Ham, but only just. I mean, I've got this.
I think that's what's going to save them.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be anything they do. I think it's more what other temes don't do. You know.
Yeah,
I think they've got the
case all the
Conference
time.
League coming.
That's the case all the time.
Big West Ham, if they can win the conference, well, not win it, if they can challenge to try and get to the latter stages of the Conference League, then that could save what is probably going to end up being a pretty poor league season. If they can try and win the Conference League, then that will probably buy David Moyes time. But
that gets you into Europa League next year.
Yeah,
I do worry a little bit about. I'm kind of with you, Kevin, in so much as Wolves came to Old Trafford there a little while back before Christmas, and they honestly they passed us off the park. They were really, really, really good. But they'd no cutting edge, they'd no teeth. I think they've got 11 goals in the front. They've got 11 goals in 18 games.
Yeah.
I mean, you're firing blanks like that. You're picking up 1 point instead of 3. You're picking up no points instead of 1, aren't you? And that's the danger all the time. So it's hard to pull yourself out without a man that pull the trigger and finish it off.
Tim, give us a score prediction. How do you think this one goes?
Having said, I think because they're a bit toothless, and I think because West Ham are scrapping, and on the back of the passing of David Gold, I think they'll get a performance out of West Ham. And I actually fancy West Ham to nick a result here. I'm going to say 1-0 West Ham.
Okay, and Joe?
I think there's a lot riding on this game, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a draw, but I think there will be goals. I'll sit on the fence and I'll say a 2-2 draw.
Desmond. Luke?
I'll probably go 2-0 West Ham because I think the club is going to be, because obviously David Gold passed, I think it was this week or last week. So I think that's going to really emotionally charge the fans. I think that could help them get the result. So I'm going to go 2-0.
Well, I went 2-1 Wolves purely on the strength of I've watched them more. And I watched them against us and the chances that they created on the counter. So I just think that they look more likely. It's funny enough. Okay, on bookmakers.com, Betway are giving the best odds for Wolves, 17-10. The best price for the draws with Bet365 is 23-10, and BetVictor have West Ham at 7-4. So
it's a hard one to call. It's a really hard game to call.
It's an away game for West Ham, so the pressure of having the London Stadium on your back, or up to whatever they want to call it, it might not be the worst thing in the world for them to be away at the minute. We'll see how it pans out. But again, it's the first game of the 4 that we're looking at that is massive at the bottom end of the table. But head right up to the top of the table, and it's the North London derby, Spurs against Arsenal. Now, Arsenal to me, I gotta be honest, I'm really impressed. Really, really impressed because they bought well and they bought at a range of price that we were really good at. The 30 to 40 million pound player looking to improve them, but they've spent a lot of money, I suppose, in the last 3 windows to get to where they are, and it's all clicking well for them. They've managed the squad really well, and they're a good side, especially when the chips are down. They find goals. I mean, Joe, I watched the game against yourselves the other week, and it was a 4-2. It finished 4-2, and there was a really tight offside to get it to 4-3, but they were well out ahead in that game. And I reckon if that offside goal, if that was just onside and accounted, I think they might have. I think Brighton. There was another goal in Brighton at 4-3. What were your impressions of Arsenal in that one and overall this season?
Yeah, so my impressions of Arsenal is like they've been sort of a joke for so long. But this Arsenal side, they were turning up and they weren't taking any prisoners. They didn't play incredibly well, but they scored 4 goals against us. And that's no mean feat. And especially if you want to be champions, they're the sort of results you've got to grind out. If you're not playing well and you're still scoring goals, that's got to be really promising for Arsenal fans. And I think Arsenal are a product of what it is to stick by a manager and to invest in a vision. And I think they'll reap the rewards. Whether that be this season, I don't know. But I think they will get there eventually if they stick by him. And they're just a different beast this season. I've never been worried to face an Arsenal team since we've been in the Premier League, to be honest. We beat them in our first season once we got promoted. And they've never been a fear. But this season, I don't really want to see us go to the Emirates because I think we'll get turned over again. I know we beat them in the League Cup, but that was a weakened side, and you know the cup's a cup. But when it comes to the league, they're serious, and they want this league. And to be honest, I hope they win it because I'm sick of seeing City.
Agreed. Tim, Spurs.
Yeah.
And Antonio Conte is one of these managers, isn't he? That for me, he's Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. I'm in the latter. I can't stand him.
Yeah.
But I can't stand him because of the football he plays, given the talent that he has, and then to complain about the money that he spent, saying he, And, I wouldn't mind if you're going to complain, but you back it up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, on their day, they're lethal. Yeah. What's going on there? I mean, because you're a complete outsider with this fixture, and it's like you look at the 2 clubs in North London at the end of last season. Arsenal bottled top 4. Spurs nicked it. Arsenal have taken that and kicked right on. Spurs look to me like they've completely regressed. Completely regressed from the side last season and spent 170 odd million pounds to do it.
Yeah. I mean, on the Spurs thing, geez, I don't know. But I mean, I think, if you look at the balance of the team, I think Spurs are way, way, way better in attack than they are in defense in terms of personnel, the players that they have available at their disposal with Kane and Son and, what's his name? The lad on the right, I forget his name.
Oh, Kulusevski.
Yeah. Good player. But he's so defensive, isn't he? He's so they're so bad to watch. They're just not good to watch. And so it's hard to call because you don't know what Spurs are going to show up. I mean, just flipping it to Arsenal for a second, this is a compliment to Arsenal. And although Arsenal fans may not think that is the case, but it's reminiscent, not obviously nowhere near the shock levels, but it's reminiscent to me of Leicester when they won it in terms of when are they going to start dropping points? When are they going to start dropping points?
Yeah,
obviously they're a massive club, and that they're where they should be near the top echelons of the league now, but I do think they got a massive week or two ahead of them in so much as, North London derby at Spurs. And if we get any kind of a result against Man City and our tails are up, they play us next. And I just wonder if they take no points out of the next 6, do they start falling into decline a little bit? Because I think the uncertainty around, the young lad up front, Nketiah, has done unbelievably well, but what's the story with, I was listening to the radio the other morning and it was should they buy a striker or not? And it was well, what's the story with Jesus, like it's, is he back or not? When are they expecting him? And it's all a little bit grey. I think 1 or 2 injuries. I think Arsenal, but again, I just go back to like actual coaching, and I think the point made earlier was a really, really valid one. If you look at Arsenal's team, okay, yes, they struggled a bit last year, but like all of their players have gotten better under him. I mean, how has he made a player out of Xhaka? I thought Xhaka was absolute toilet, and he's actually really, really solid now. Like it's almost like as if they sort of said to him, like, stop doing that and start doing this. And yeah, they're fluid up front. Odegaard's a beautiful footballer. I mean, I thought Smith Rowe was really, really good, but Odegaard's, he's so fleet-footed and so good to watch. But again, shades of Leicester, I do think they'll tail off. I do think it's City's. I agree. Anyone that's nearly anyone but City. But, if Arsenal win the league, and we can, I'd be delighted.
Yeah. Ian and Darren, how you doing? Daz TV. If you're not subscribed, put it into your YouTube search engine and search Daz TV and give Darren a follow. It's well worth it. Great content as always. Good show, lads. Arsenal won't win the league, but they will have a good season and they have good unity. Luke, I was looking. I mean, they're on about bringing in Murdick for 70-odd million euro, and
I think it was 80.
Well, yeah, it'll be 80 with the add-on. But he plays in the same position as Martinelli and Smith Rowe. Are Arsenal trying to be too clever for their own good with this one? Or is it a case that, look, we're bringing him in if it's future-proofing the squad and just adding strength and depth to what's already a very young and hungry looking side? I mean, Tim was spot on what he said about Odegaard, and you look at Saka on the other side. They're balanced beautifully, and they're young in general. They're going to grow together. But add this 70, 80 million quid player into the mix, it could be a force for a good few years.
Yeah, I've not seen much of him, to be honest. Just little bits in the Champions League against Celtic. That's around it. Personally, I think it's a lot of money for him because I don't think Arsenal need another left winger. I think they need backup for Saka on the right. Don't think Mudrik's ever played on the right. I think they need a striker as well. I think it's all good Arsenal targeting like young players, but I do think they need a little bit of experience. In the summer they bought Zinchenko, bought Jesus, young players, but experience of winning the league. And that's what I feel like that Arsenal still need a couple of players that have been there, done it, got the T-shirt. Whereas for me, I think they're going to fall off. I made a few bets with friends at the beginning of the season that Arsenal won't finish top 4. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to pay them.
Cough up.
Get your overtime in.
Yeah, I'm going to get that overtime in because I need to pay my friends at the end of the season. But I think this month is going to be crucial. The North London derby. Is it at White Hart Lane?
Yes.
It is. It is at Spurs, yeah.
I don't think their record at White Hart Lane's great. And if they draw, then City beat United. Or if they lose and City win, then let's see if this young Arsenal team, let's see what type of mentality they've got. Because if that gap closes, I just want to see if the players are going to step up or whether or not they're going to go, yeah, we might just, go down the level and then they'll still finish top 4. But I think these next 2 games are vital because if they lose them both, then the United beat City and beat Arsenal, then we're potentially looking at a 3.
Yeah, you're getting a game ahead, mate. We're going to come to that for sure. But you're right about Spurs' record at home against Arsenal. Spurs are unbeaten in their last 8 against Arsenal at home. History is not on their side with this one. So I just look at it and I think Spurs are actually tailor-made for Arsenal. Conte is actually tailor-made as a manager to play Arsenal. It's just I don't think the players have bought into this. And I don't think they've committed fully to Conte. I mean, when he lets the throttle off, and you see them actually commit players forward, they look really dangerous. But it seems that they almost have to go 1 or 2 down to get to that spot. And I look at it and I'm like, what are you afraid of? You know, you're already out of the top 4 race. I think I just don't see the confidence in them to get into the top 4 mix. And Arsenal, this result is huge. This is where the pressure really comes on, and pressure decides pressure and confidence decides title races as much as anything else. If you're full of confidence, you'll turn draws into wins. You'll turn losses into draws. And if you can handle the pressure of Man City and potentially Manchester United chasing you down with a very young, inexperienced squad of winning, getting over that line for the first time is huge. We failed on 95 plus points. It's absurd, you know, when we didn't win the league on 95 plus points. And if City put that kind of a run together, nobody's living with them. And they're capable. That's the thing. We don't know what this Arsenal team is capable of yet because it's still new. You know, they're still finding themselves more than anything else. It's going to be a cracking game to watch. I've got this one down. I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be 1-1. I think it'll get to a stage in the game where Arsenal will take a point and Spurs will be happy not to lose. I think they'll come out of it with a draw and they'll be okay. Joe, how do you see this one going?
As I said, as I was talking about their result against us, I think they're a completely different beast this season, Arsenal. And I think they walk away from there with all 3 points. I reckon they're going to turn Spurs over 3-1.
Cool. Tim? How do you see this one playing out, mate?
Looking at Spurs again. Looking at Spurs against the Big Six, I think they've taken 1 point from games played this season. I was just looking at a little mini league there, the so-called Big Six, and I don't see anything other than the occasion, North London derby. Like, geez, United beat Spurs easy enough there. If I think it was late October or something. Like, it was. I didn't see them bring anything to the party, so. I'm hoping that they'll set the cat among the pigeons and give Arsenal something to think about. But I actually just don't think they have the ammunition. But I just don't think they have the fluidity, and they're not functioning well for whatever reason. And yeah, I see an Arsenal win. I see a comfortable enough Arsenal win, maybe 3-1.
Cool. Luke, how do you see this one playing out?
I don't know. If you're a betting man, probably bet on Kane to score.
We'll come to that in a minute.
Probably go. I'm going to go Desmond 2-2.
Fair enough. I need Kane.
Fireworks, on the sidelines.
I need Harry Kane to do something because my fantasy team is just up to Swanee and he's my vice captain, so I need the points. But William Hill have got 9-4 for Spurs win. That's 9-4 at home. Bookmakers.com is the best price. That's the best available prices of William Hill on bookmakers.com. The draw is 13-5 with Bet365, and Arsenal 6-5 favourites and Bet365 as well. Bear in mind they haven't won there in years, so that pretty much tells you its own story of where they see the money going. But we'll see. I mean, what's Red Steve saying there? Spurs drop off this week. Kane will score. He'll always scores against the Arsenal, and he'll fancy himself against City's defence, but. They're getting beat twice. Fair shot. Look, Manchester. There's the other derby. I mean, Manchester United against Man City. Man, this is huge for both clubs on so many levels. Because if Arsenal go and do their job, everyone is the chasing pack's job to chase them down. Tim, is the expectation of Manchester United fans that look, we're in really good form, we're on a massive run. If United win this one, it'll be the joint highest win streak since Fergie left. It'll be 9 wins in a row, I think. And if you beat City, are you in the title race first and foremost? And if you don't, and the chasing pack come after you, can the pressure tell on that side? Because this is what I mean. This weekend, there's so many permutations that can happen. And on Monday morning, we'll wake up and see, like, look at the table and go, oh, Christ, wow.
I think what we have now, more than we've had before, is I think we've got a fella at the top who's fairly methodical and level-headed. And, like, yes, the run has been excellent. Okay, and I mentioned the form guide between the big six earlier. United would be top of that. They've taken 10 points, I think. Okay, and our form against against the stronger teams has been fantastic. And previously, where we were shite, excuse my French, was against teams that you would expect us to beat.
Yeah.
The complacency would set in, and we've tended to struggle. That run we're on at the minute. Okay, it is against predominantly teams you would have expected us to beat. To call a spade a spade. Are United in the title race if they beat City? I think you have to say they are, because the numbers won't lie. They'll be whatever. I mean, I've got the league table in front of me, but what will they be off? They'll be with 7 points or something. 7 with Arsenal to play, I think. Home and away. Have they played Arsenal yet?
So no, I think they've got massive games coming up. And the thing is, right, United win at the weekend. They'll be on 38 points, a point behind Man City with the same games played.
Yeah. Okay. And still with the Gooners to play, like, so. Yeah. I mean, I think you'd have to look at that and say, well, like, we're barely halfway through the season. You'd have to say that, yeah, you're there or thereabouts, wouldn't you? Similarly, if they lose, I don't think it's doomsday. I think that Ten Hag will look at it and say, right, okay, he will have been given objectives at the start of the season, but clearly that would have been in a top 4, I'd have thought, with the financial implications of not reaching top 4. And I think he's bang on track for that. And I think obviously they're in the semi-finals of Carabao, obviously in the FA Cup, Europa, what have you. But they're way, 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 way better. Like, I thought United needed maybe 6 transfer windows, and his business has been excellent. I don't know if Casemiro was more luck than judgment, obviously, with the whole De Jong debacle over the summer. And it was a kind of like, right, let's get somebody. I don't know or not, but Casemiro is way better than I thought he was. And I hold my hands up on that. I wouldn't have said what Souness said now, but I thought he was pretty much a stopper around the middle of the park. I didn't realise what he could give going forward as well. He's been absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I'm not driving the boot into Carragher, but I will. His shout on Martinez. Martinez has been a revelation at the back, and I mean, he's still to come in yet. So every single player, like Wan-Bissaka, I thought his career was over. He's coming. He's strong. He's turned Shaw into a footballer. He's got Bruno not running around like a headless chicken chasing on his own. They're fluid and function. Eriksen he's picked up for next to nothing. He's got Rashford banging again. They need a centre forward clearly. I don't know.
You've got one.
Essentially, yeah. Well,
in fairness, here's words that you never thought you'd hear coming out your mouth. You signed a striker on loan from Burnley. How are you getting on?
That's managed by a City legend.
This is it. But the greater good, Kevin. I got absolutely pellets by your by your mate last time. I forget his name.
Gavin.
Gavin, right? Came on and fine, right? And it was all around at the time. It was the whole Glazers thing, but nothing's changed on that front. Okay, and so much as like the reason that we're bringing in your man from Burnley is clearly the club's been geared up for sale. And they have to keep the purse strings in, and if it means we have to sign half of Burnley's squad to get rid of them, suckers, then no problem. We'll swap squads with them for the greater good. But I just think I feel blessed at the minute that we have got a fella that clearly knows what he's at. He didn't get rattled when he had 2 awful results at the start of the season, and he's coached. He's actually done his freaking job and coached players, and clearly we're better now. Honestly, you're going to come on to predictions in a bit. Like Man City are a different animal, though. They're wounded, obviously, with recent results and things, and it'll be a test, but we'll see.
Well, Joe, you look at Man City's recent results. Start there. Their recent results. The Southampton game. I know it was in the League Cup, but is there an argument to say that Pep Guardiola is falling down the rabbit hole again? That he's trying to reinvent football and be a bit too clever for himself. It's like, for me, I look at how Man City played last year, and they were so fluid. You know, they always looked like they missed a striker, but they brought in Julian Alvarez, who's a striker who looks like he could fit into how City have played and how City have won titles. Then you bring in Haaland. I firmly believe that Haaland is not a guy who wants to play football. He wants to score goals. He comes alive in the penalty box. You don't see him involved in the build-up play. You'll see him make runs in behind. And if Kevin De Bruyne can't find him, that nullifies so much of City's threat that they have now. And I think it's to the detriment of other players. Am I reading that wrong? Or am I just looking at things and just wishful thinking on my part because I can't stand City?
And to be honest, no, I think you are slightly right. If people do find a way to somehow stop De Bruyne, to stop Haaland, then that does cut off what City can do. And we found out the hard way when we played them at the Etihad. Haaland annihilated us, and he made us look like it was boys versus men. So it's not lost on me how good Haaland is at the job that he does, but I think he runs the risk of teams working him out. He's been a shock to the Premier League. He's got a lot of goals, but I think maybe he might be resting on his laurels. I say that he'll go and score a hatful for the rest of the season and be the record goal scorer. But yeah, I do think that teams will work them out eventually. I really like Alvarez as a player. I think he looks like Sergio Aguero's regeneration of type of player, and I think he could do really well there as well. So I think City, when you talk about City and are they falling off, are they faltering a little bit, they always find a way to come back, and they are just ridiculous. We doubt them, and then they'll laugh at us for doubting them. But what's the game this weekend? Is it away at Old Trafford?
They're at Old Trafford, I think, yeah.
They're at Old Trafford, okay. So obviously recent results haven't been great. Obviously they lost to Brentford a few weeks ago, at home as well. And obviously the Southampton result. I mean, we made Southampton look absolutely ridiculous, and it's not hard to do. They made us look like Manchester City. So to lose to them, quite shocking, really. But as you say, that's a League Cup, and it's a different kettle of fish. And whether the players were motivated to play that game, I don't know. But I think we'll see a wounded City come back and show what they're really about.
Luke, you get to the game. I mean, it's the first kick-off tomorrow morning, and Manchester United, to me, you look at how Brentford beat. Brentford are a physical side, but they're really commit to the counter-attacks. Manchester United can do exactly the same. They can hurt you in exactly the same way with pace. And how do you see this one playing out? How do you see this game playing? Because John Stones, Kevin Bowe would say there, Stones is a massive miss for them. Stones apparently is back available. Whether he selects him or not, I don't know. But look, I don't expect to see Luke Shaw turning up at centre-back for Manchester United in the same way as I don't expect Akanji to be playing right-back for Man City. You know,
no.
I expect to see both sides with their best 11s going hammer and tongs at each other. But
the thing is,
how do you see it going?
What his best 11 is. I've got a feeling that Pep still hasn't quite worked out how he gets Haaland in the team, but has that fluid possession like they did last season with the false nine. I think he's still trying to work that out with the inverted fullbacks playing in midfield, but I feel like he doesn't know what his best team is with the combinations. But with United, I think he'll put Lisandro Martinez straight back into centre half instead of Luke Shaw. I've actually been quite impressed with Martinez because I thought his height would have been a big issue, but what he makes up with the lack of height, he makes up with knowing where to be to mop up the mess. But I think with United, I think they're going to have to be at their best to beat City. I think if City score an early goal at Old Trafford, it could be, oh dear, here we go again. It could end up like the City home game or like the United home game last season where City scored a couple and just thought, yeah, it's a nice little training game, we'll just pass it around. So it'll be really interesting because if United do win or win on tomorrow, then I think United fans will be a point behind City then, providing Arsenal drop points. They could find themselves in the title race, which will be big for Ten Hag in his first season, who I believe has done a better job than what people has realised, especially with the Ronaldo thing. It could have been so easy for the Glazers to go, nope, he is staying and you're going to put up with him and we don't care if you don't like it. But the fact that the owners have listened to Ten Hag and gone, okay, we'll get him out, even though you don't really want to let him go, I think it's really good for United that it's the manager that's calling the shots now, not the owners. But I still think that United are a little far behind in their rebuild, so I still expect City to win. But if City is still trying to lick their wounds after what's happened in the Carabao Cup, then I think United could nick a draw.
Interesting. Tim, on the Ronaldo stuff, how did you, as a United fan, how do you see Ronaldo? Was it the right decision? How do you view him now? In general, how do you think the club have handled it?
Like I think the point just made is spot on in so much as I think Ten Hag has got every single big decision right since he's arrived. The Ronaldo thing was massive, and he had to get that right. And the passage of time will look back, and Ronaldo will be right up there as one of the best. And in his first spell with us, he was just he was mesmerizing, and you see, people now and they're doing the whole Messi Ronaldo thing. For me, it's Messi all day long. I know we're not talking about that, but there was a time there. There was a time there, 08, 09 at United before he went off to Madrid. He was absolutely unreal, and that's the Ronaldo I'll remember. The ego was just absolute, and I don't know who was advising him, but to do an interview with Piers, it's so bad. And you just look at it now. I mean, he was asked point blank, Saudi Arabia. He's like, no, I'm still going to play in a big league. And now he's trying to say that, I think he's left off some soundbite now that the Saudi Arabian league is strong, and that just sums it up. And I think Jamie Carragher's little dig was it was funny. It got a giggle out of me, to be honest. Messi's winning the World Cup and Ronnie's out in Saudi, or career ends out with Piers Morgan, and it's sad. But I think time. You look back now, you go back generations and generations, all the great players. You look at the original Ronaldo, and his injuries got the better of him, but people just remember the good stuff, don't they? And you look at years ago, our own George Best, he was retired at 27, but the drink and all the rest of it, but what a player. So I think he'll be okay. I think his legacy in the long run will be okay, but it has been tainted in my. And look, I try and keep a balanced view on everything, and credit to Ronaldo for the sake that he's 2 years older than Messi. Let's see what Messi's at in 2 years' time. Let's not forget that. And he has punished himself around the top leagues in Europe. When he was Messi's age, let's not forget he was playing number 9 for Juventus, and he was in banging got 28 goals in Serie A. So I think he deserves the respect from that perspective. But unfortunately, I seen the signs early doors when he came back. His touch was off. He just wasn't able to get hold of the ball, hold it up. He couldn't get away. The yard had got a couple of yards pace had gone. His decision making wasn't very good. And then with that, you get all the gesticulation, you get the arms, you get, looking at lads like it's their fault. He's just blatantly overplayed a pass or underhit a pass or whatever. And he just quite simply is not fit for purpose as a top striker in a top league anymore, and that's as simple as that. Like,
yeah, no, I think that's more than fair. How do you go on? Give us your prediction for tomorrow.
I hope we go for it. I hope we, I think we apply a bit of pressure. I think we go for it. I think we win the game. I know I don't sound overly confident. I think it's a hard one to pick. I think City on the back of it. I think City are going to dominate possession, but I think that we're still at this moment in time. We're not good enough to dominate the ball against City. I don't think there's a side in world football that are probably, but I think we're the best counter-attacking team in the league, and I think on that basis, I think we win 2-1.
Fair shout, Joe. What are your scores and the doors for this one, mate?
Yeah, I think, obviously United have improved so much since we played them on the opening day, and I was a little bit worried for Ten Hag that it was going to go the poisonous way of previous United managers, but obviously thankful for the win on our part. But as I say, they've improved massively, and it will be a really tough game for City. I'm going to agree with that comment there. I'm going to say City 2-1.
Fair play. Luke is gone. Fantastic. We'll get him back in a second. I'll be honest, I think Ten Hag's done an amazing job. I think he's a fantastic manager. He's improved, like Tim said, he's improved everyone who's there. I think the jury's out on Anthony. I think they massively overpaid. I think United have massively overpaid for him, but you're not buying Anthony for the first 6 months of his contract.
No.
You're buying him for the player he's going to be for the entirety of his contract. So we'll see how he goes. I think he slid under the radar, considering some of the criticisms that have been levelled at Darwin Núñez for one. Anthony's slid under the radar fairly handy. But at the same time, you're seeing glimpses of what he's capable of in games as well. So I still think they've massively overpaid. I think he's a 55, 60 million pound player. I think David Neres, who he played with at Ajax, was as good and is still doing the job. I think he's at Benfica now and he's flying it again. Benfica picked him up for a fraction of what his true value was because he was playing in Ukraine. So it's just one of those. But other than the Anthony one, if results go their way, they're in with a title shot for sure. If they don't go their way and Spurs beat Arsenal, they're drop out of the top four, and then you're into a big scrap again. That's how much this can change this weekend. Any side at the minute in any position in the league that can string 3-4 wins together on the bounce from here on, from now until the next 3-4 games, they could catapult themselves into European positions. Because everyone around the top 6 play each other over the next few weeks. Yeah. So things will change. I've got it down as I think I got it down as 2-1 Manchester United. I just think that they'll catch United on. I think they'll catch City on the break.
That's the stuff, Kev.
I just don't think. I know, but I just don't think that City are firing. I don't think their confidence is where it needs to be. I mean, the one thing I would say, I know, sorry, Kev. The one thing I would say, somebody was touching on it earlier. I'm not sure which of the two boys was, but I get shot dead for saying this, but Man City are a better side without Haaland in it. Oh yeah,
because they drop the false nine drops in, and they completely swarm you in midfield, and they're interchangeable. And somebody said, they're still trying to work out how to get that out of Haaland. Haaland hasn't got that in his game. He has not got that in his game. He won't. He's an absolute freak of nature. He's just a fucking goal machine. But that's all he is.
Yeah, in a football,
my opinion. No,
he's a new breed, whatever he is. But
he's a freak.
If you were giving me a straight choice now between him and Mbappe, I'd be taking Mbappe all day long, every day of the week and twice on Sundays. Yeah. But look, I think his career trajectory takes him to Madrid in the next 2 years anyway. So
good luck to him. Goodbye.
Yeah, good riddance.
Yeah, goodbye.
We'll get on to the final game. We'll finally get on to the final game of the weekend. Yeah, Brighton against Liverpool. Not that we were trying to avoid it for any particular reason or anything like that. But
all right, I'm off now. Yeah, Liverpool fan.
Come back in about 15 minutes. Joe, you've had an eventful day, to say the least. Do you want to talk about it?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Therapy session.
All right,
Yeah, go on
okay.
then.
Let's
Go on then. I'm here
let's
to
put it.
talk.
I was going to say let's put it this way. I've seen people in our Telegram group saying that they'd take Leandro Trossard at Liverpool as an option off the bench or someone who could develop and fill in here and there.
He's 28.
Tell me a bit about Leandro Trossard when he's not playing against a top 6 club.
He vanishes, completely disappears. I think he's probably scored a handful of goals against teams outside of the top 6. He clearly ups his game to try and get his big money move. Maybe I'm saying all of this at the moment because I'm bitter that he's spoken badly of our club and is acting the way he is. I will preface this by saying that I love Leandro Trossard. I think he's done fantastic things for our football club and he's given me some absolutely phenomenal memories as a player for our club. And we're so lucky to have had a player like him. However, if you want to end your time at a football club that have given you the platform to play at the highest level in this utterly disrespectful way, then you can just leave. You can leave for free. I honestly don't care. If you don't want to play for my football club, I lose all respect for you. And if you're not going to respect me, I'm not going to respect him back. So it's been a tough one today. And it always seems to happen when he comes back from international break or whenever he goes on international break. There's always
talk too much. That's why.
Yeah, there's always talk in the media of, I have bigger prospects. I have other prospects. I want to play a higher level than Brighton. And we sort of take those comments as like, well, every player is going to say every player wants to play in the Champions League or challenge for titles. So fair enough. Maybe one day, Trossard, you will get your move. But to act like this, to try and get that move, it's not going to work well for him. And any top 6 team that is going to look at him now, they're not going to take a punt on him with that attitude. Well, maybe, yeah, maybe he gets reunited with Graham Potter. But I said top 6 team, Luke. But yeah.
Okay, a couple of other things as well. Tell us a bit about you and Ferguson.
Yeah, Ferguson's been a revelation.
He's from County Meath. He's from I can't remember where he's from, County Meath, but he came to Brighton from Bohemians. He's 18 years old. After that, tell us, what is he?
A goal machine. But I think he's got more to his game. This sounds ridiculous. Why am I saying this, Joe? I think he's probably got more to his game than Haaland has. In terms of the link, honestly, the link up play, and in terms of bringing people into play and the hold up, I think he's absolutely world class. I think he's going to be really, really good for us. I'm putting a lot of pressure on him because he's 18 years old. I understand that people are going to look at me like I'm an absolute lunatic.
I hope he doesn't go down the Aaron Connolly route.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the question,
from what I've seen of him, and I've watched a lot of him. I've watched a lot of him in development games as well. He is fantastic. I think even Man United were looking at him at one point whilst he was playing for our under 23s. So he can't be that bad. But he's given us.
He might be. We've just gone and bought Wegerson or whatever his name is.
Fair enough. But he's given us that the striker everyone always alludes to when they talk about Brighton. And again, he's played 3.5 games for us. Yeah. But I am really excited by him. I really am, and I think he can go on and probably be our Premier League top goal scorer. And he hasn't got many goals to go to get that, to be honest. I think he's got to score 20 odd. I think Trossard was literally a goal away from breaking it, but now he's pissing off. So
has he been capped yet? Has he?
No,
for Ireland. No,
he's played for us at the under 18 and under 21 level, but he's from County Meath, so.
Next squad,
I think they'll definitely want to get him in. They brought Connolly in, and they paid him. So I've no doubt. I mean, I'm listening to this, and I'm thinking, we haven't replaced Robbie Keane.
Christ.
we might be in business here.
The pressure you're going to put on him to be the new Robbie Keane is going to be
Guaranteed.
unbelievable.
But in fairness, that from what I've read about this kid, and when you look at the stats that he's only played 39 games total or 35 games total for Brighton, from Premier League 2, League Cup, FA Cup, and the games he's played, the senior games he's played. I think it's something stupid, like 15 goals, 9 assists, something ridiculous like that in all of them.
The
What
boy,
age is he? What is he? 18.
18.
yeah, he gives you goal out.
He made his debut for Bowes. He was the youngest player to make his debut for Bowes, and it was in a European game.
And that's a hard league, like, as in they kick the lumps at you.
And after that, he got his move straight away, and they Red Steve, go and wash out your damn mouth. Your Scottish grannies.
I'll tell you one thing about Evan Ferguson as well that's really impressed me is his attitude. And he's given some interviews after his last few games for us. And he just seems like such a genuine kid that just wants to play football and wants to get his head down and play at the highest level and do well for us. Whereas with Aaron Connolly, he scored 2 goals against Spurs and that was it. He was booking his plane to Love Island. So I'm
I think
really
he enjoyed the life,
him.
Aaron Connolly. Where is he now? He's out on loan, isn't he?
I think Hull.
He's gone to Hull. To be fair,
he's done all right as well.
He's under Liam Rossini now. Liam Rossini obviously knew him from his time at Brighton when Aaron Connolly was in the academy. So hopefully Liam Rossini can shape him into a player that's going to, actually work to be a footballer. But we'll see.
Well, the other one I was going to ask you about, look, I've only got to touch on it. You have to, really. There's 2, really. Alexis McAllister, he's really kicked on, hasn't he? He's because when he first signed, he was a striker, wasn't he? And he's just come.
Was he?
Yeah, when Alexis McAllister first came over, he was a striker, and then he's just fallen back into midfield and found his place in this Brighton setup. But the last 12 months, he's really kicked on. And that video clip going around of him with the kids with the World Cup, with the World Cup medal, I just thought, that's quality, like.
Yeah, what a guy. And as you say, he's kicked on in the last 12 months. I think that's an understatement after winning the World Cup and probably being one of Argentina's most important players. I mean, he didn't start the game against Saudi Arabia. They lost. He played every game after. They won every single game after that. So Alexis McAllister gives you work rate. He gives you ability and honesty and just workmanship. And we're so lucky to have him at our football club. He's such a genuine guy as well, as you say, with that video with showing the kids the medal, and how sincere he was when he came back to Brighton, and how thankful he was for the club that gave him that opportunity.
How long do you think you'll keep him for?
I think
the end of the season.
I think we keep him to the end of the season and he goes in the summer. But to be honest, I would be upset as a Brighton fan, obviously, because I want to keep the best players that we have. But for him, if he sticks out this season and achieves something really special with us, because obviously we're looking to maybe even push for Europe. If he does that for us and then goes on to get his big dream move, then fair play to him. He's done his job as a Brighton player.
How much do you think you could get for him? Because I think Moises Caicedo's price is about £70 million. Do you think McAllister's worth the same amount, or do you think you'd get a little bit less for him if he was to move in the summer?
I think McAllister's worth more than Caicedo. I think obviously he signed a new deal before the World Cup, goes away to win the World Cup. I think that adds a considerable amount onto your value. Before the World Cup, I'd probably value him at about 40 million.
It's good business. It's good business getting him on before the World Cup.
Yeah, insane.
Really clever.
The fact that for me, the fact that he actually signed a contract before World Cup shows that one, he's committed to Brighton. I think if Brighton fulfill what their potential is this season and they qualify for Europe, which is on the cards, it just is.
He could get them
He
like
could
one more season with a gentleman's agreement.
It's possible. And the other side of it is because of Brighton's recent sales and a potential sale of one of the two, they won't be forced to sell both of them. They could afford to keep one. It's just a case of which one can you keep and keep happy at the same time.
To be honest, the one I'd rather keep would be if you held a gun to my head and made me choose. I would keep McAllister, just probably through bias because he's one of my favourite players and was one of my favourite Brighton players even before he won the World Cup. People will say, "Oh, he's only your favourite because he's won the World Cup now," but that's not the case. I think he's been wonderful. People forget that he's been with us almost 4 years now. And when he came in, it was just before the first lockdown, I think.
What age is he now?
3 years he's been with us.
How old is he?
25.
Yeah. See, the thing is he himself. Like I love Brighton. Like the business, like how good are they in the markets? By the way, like unbelievable business they do. But like he's at an age now whereby like he did sign that contract. Like you could okay, it's not too bad. So, but like you could flip what you said, Kevin, on his head in terms of like he's shown his commitment to Brighton, or did he, did he undervalue himself? As in, did he not realize he's as good as he actually is? Did he go into that World Cup thinking, well, I ain't going to get, probably not favourite to get into the Argentina team? He's pretty modest, isn't he? Is what I'm saying.
He's clearly humble guy.
He's clearly a top player.
Yeah, clearly. Exactly that. And if you go back and watch the interviews with him on the club's YouTube channel, you can see how much of a humble, shy guy he is. And I think even he was surprised when he did get called up to the Argentina squad for the first time. And when he came back to talk about the experience of playing with Lionel Messi, he was in the squad that won the Copa America with Lionel Messi, but he didn't feature. But he had that experience, and then he's gone 2 years later with the Argentina squad. Probably thought, I've got an outside chance of playing a few games. They've put him in. He's done wonders, and he's been an integral part of winning a World Cup.
He's steely, isn't he? He's hard as nails as well. Like he's a lovely footballer, and he worked his engine. Come like the extra time in that final, he was still bombing on. I was like, where is that lad getting his energy from? But he's steel. He hits lads as well, which I really like.
It was crazy because last season he was playing more of a sort of number 10 role for us, and then we lost Basuma, and we were sort of thinking, we need a Basuma replacement. Is Caicedo that? Caicedo gives us a lot in midfield, but he didn't really give us that, as you say, steel in midfield that Basuma gave us. That sure, hard tackler. And McAllister was moved back into that role at the start of the season. We were sort of thinking, hold on a minute, that's probably one of our best attacking players, and you're moving him back into a number 6, number 8 role. But he's just kicked on from there, and then goes to the World Cup with Argentina and plays a left-hand side role. Anywhere you put him, he'll give you a shift, and that's massive credit to him.
Well, Tim, the other player at Brighton that I really like the look of, apart from Caicedo obviously is a huge talent. We all know about him. Mitoma is a proper winger's winger for me. Yeah, and Estupiñán behind him. I don't think Estupiñán is a brilliant defender. I think he's a capable defender. But my God, when you've got Estupiñán going forward, even when he was playing in the World Cup, he was like instrumental for Ecuador. But you watch him and Mitoma when they link up together. They've built something really special there at Brighton at the minute, haven't they?
Well, I think the thing is every like Potter moved on, fair play, did a great job, he can't seem to implement a system at Chelsea now. He's, whatever about the club and the shit show that is Chelsea, but like he himself, he hasn't really kind of tried to settle into like an identity. He hasn't tried to impose like a formation or a pattern of play, and they're just flip-flopping around. Whereas Brighton are almost like, right, dust ourselves down. We lost the head honcho, but actually we got some good footballers here. Like, you know, all the names that are just being mentioned there. I mean, like, it's called a spade here. Like, Brighton win, they leapfrog Liverpool.
Yeah.
Like, come on, it's January. They leapfrog Liverpool in January if they win the football match. Like you've got a good squad, you've got a good side. I'm not so sure about the strength in depth, obviously, which is always going to be, you know, the smaller clubs, the slightly smaller clubs, Achilles heel. But you know, they're 1-11. Like, I mean, they, like, you know, United with the pits, but you know, they absolutely hammered United. I mean, I haven't seen much of Brighton, but just obviously highlights and bits and pieces, and they're lovely to watch. Really good, well-run club.
Say about the squad depth, but at the start of the season, Mitoma was there for the depth, and then Graham Potter's taken a punt on him. He came on against Newcastle early in the season and just completely lit the stage. Worth pointing out with Mitoma as well that 3 years ago he was playing university football in Japan.
Jeez, wow.
So, yeah, it's insane. We signed him from the club that he was at in Japan. And another crazy thing about Mitoma is that he rejected a professional contract in football to carry on studying at university. And his thesis was on player movement and how to beat a player. And his assessment was he strapped a camera to his head. This thesis is online. If you want to search it, it's there. He strapped a camera to his head and showed how to beat players in really tight situations. So he is quite literally a master in dribbling. But you know
though what that tells. If you look at it though, if you actually look at that detail that you've just given us there, like the scouting network. You know what I mean? Like, you look at, like, obviously McAllister and Caicedo and this lad you're on about, and you know, they've picked your man up from Bohemians in Ireland. Like, it's top business. It's a well-run football club, and then they're banging them boys out the door for 25, 30, 40, 50 million quid.
Well, I mean, when we came up into the Premier League, Paul Barber went on record to say in our first season in the Premier League we had 3 scouts worldwide. Now we've got over 250. So we will always. It's high risk, high reward. Because I remember bringing a player like Percy Tau.
I can remember going up to watch United about 11 or 12 years ago, and they drew. It was in like a Champions League dead rubber game against Ajax, I think, and it ended 0-0 at Old Trafford, and I was sat like halfway line, good seats, and it was like quite high up, and I was like, who's that kid that's just like that lad that's just literally ran the game? And I was like, unless, like, what are them fellas doing? Like, they're literally must be blind, like Old Trafford, if they don't buy that lad. It was Eriksen. The following summer, Eriksen goes off to Spurs, and United didn't buy anyone and bought Fellaini either the summer or the January after that. And they're crying out for midfielder. And I'm sat there, I'm like, just, you know, I'm just some lad, I'm fucking supporter, but I'm surrounded by like everybody that's anywhere near me are like, that kid's 19, he just ran the game at Old Trafford.
Well, United actually had the chance to sign Caicedo as well.
I know.
We were battling them.
But I just don't understand. But I think sometimes that, you know, these scouts and all the rest of it, I think that they're just looking at data and they're just looking at, like, you know, like outputs and all right, stats and all the rest of it. But like, actually use your eyes and just go and watch a lad play football. Like, you're looking at talk about that winger. Did anyone watch that the Leeds winger tonight?
Yeah,
the black lad on the left.
Nanto, the Italian. He's got 8 caps for Italy already at 18 years old.
He was unbelievable. Like Ashley Young. I know he's 37, right, but he's a solid pro. Like, he's actually no mug, and he's tore him to pieces. Like somebody, like, seriously, like, find out what he's doing. Like, obviously, it's just I don't understand, like, why. Well, and Brighton's a great example, really, of just, you know, using your eyes and going out and looking.
Tom Boland puts a great comment in there, and it's very simple. It's Moneyball scouts, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we did Moneyball for ages for the first few years under FSG. You have to raise money somehow, and that's a way of doing it. But your scouting network has to be really good. And first of all, you're going to look at the stats. You're going to look at the analysis. Then you have to watch the player and know the personality of the player and what have you. But you can take those kind of risks when you're trying to get from 8th to 5th, 4th. Those are the type of risks you can take with a player, as long as you've got the nucleus of a squad who can get you up. When you're in second, third, trying to get to first when the points total needed is going to be 99 points, your opportunity to take gambles on a Moses Caicedo are very limited. You cannot take a huge gamble because the drop-off, as we've seen this season for us, is monumental if you get it wrong. And, I mean, someone put a comment in there that apparently James Pearce is saying, Luke, that Darwin Núñez probably won't be a risk for tomorrow. I mean, he hasn't been in the training photos all week, and he's not trained all week. It's a muscle issue, but it's not serious. He should be back in train. He should be. I think he's been training indoors, but he's not done any outdoor work. So it's one of those.
But he'll be back next week. Then we'll see him in April. Then.
Well, I'll ask you actually about the press conference today, because that's riled a lot of people on social media in different ways. But you watched it. I watched it as well. You speak. You tell me, what did you hear and see that? One, what did you hear and see that you didn't already know?
Nothing.
And two, what were you expecting him to say that he didn't say? Because the clamour is that he should have done X, Y, Z, and he didn't. And it's this, there's war. It's open warfare now.
Hindsight is great. I said that to you before the other guys joined backstage. I was like, you ask stupid questions, you're going to get a stupid reply. And he's been asked the same question over and over and over and over again about transfers, about bringing players in. And I'm not surprised he's getting prickly, because I think everyone will be pretty annoyed if they got asked the same question every single press conference. But yet again, I don't feel sorry for him at the moment. I don't feel sorry that he's being pestered about transfers, because in the summer that was the opportunity to shut the journalists up by sorting what needed to be sorted. And the fact that he sat there for pretty much all summer saying that he was pretty darn happy, and then towards the end saying, I think I was wrong. Then we were rushing around at the bargain basement, and then we got a midfielder from loan from Juve that got injured and still isn't playing. That's still out injured. And then the league form coincides with the transfer window has dipped, and he's not changed anything. Is it a surprise that he's getting asked these questions? No. I think it would stop if he adapted and Liverpool started winning again, started picking up good results and good performances. But I think a mixture of everything, you're getting what you saw at the press conference, which is nothing different to what we've heard all season. Money doesn't grow on trees. Got to work with what I have. So, I didn't learn anything watching that. I just saw a guy that's super frustrated. But yet again, he could have helped his frustration in the summer when it came to being a little bit less sentimental and shifting some squad players on for me.
Well, we'll go back to one thing a minute. One thing I wanted to ask you as well. The instability at the club that's been caused, and I'll ask Tim this as well in a minute, because it hasn't affected Manchester United where it has affected the stability at Liverpool. The fact that the FSG came out in November and said the club is up for sale. We're looking for offers, and then they've said absolutely nothing since November 7th. How much is that instability, along with the fact that Julian Ward is leaving at the end of the season? We've lost a lot of upper management backroom staff that are either going or have left already. How much is the instability at the club affecting everything that's going on at the minute? And he's frozen. You there? No, I was asking Luke actually.
Oh, me?
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was asking how much is the instability at the club?
I think it's added a lot. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I'm pretty sure Klopp has been kept in the loop. I don't know, because I think there was a quote a few weeks ago where he said that if he had money, he'd spend it, and people got added 1 + 1 got 3, thinking, "Oh, is there a takeover around the corner?" But since then, he's gone back to we've got no money. So I don't know whether or not something has changed last minute and that they're still waiting, but I think it isn't great. I think Liverpool's season has now stagnated, and I think the club have gone, season's not going to be a success. We're going to sack it off until we get until the takeover happens, and if we finish top 4, we'll get top 4. If not, we won't. But I think it's such bad planning. Like, you could still go through a takeover, but the league form not dip if you sort of refresh the squad. Like, it's not rocket science that the midfield was something that needed to be refreshed slowly rather than doing massive surgery, when every single club now knows if Liverpool are knocking and after your midfielder, let's knock the price up because they're desperate. So yeah, I think the takeover.
I don't see anything happening in January now. I mean, that press conference when we finished I mean, it was always a case that someone had to leave before someone came in, but I just don't see it. Yeah, in fairness, if you're in the last year, I mean, Tim, United are in the same boat. Clubs up for sale. Mid-February, I think the Glazers have set a date that they want final submissions for offers in by. So that, to me, says they want the sale done and dusted by the time the season ends, which for United is like music to your ears, because you'll start next season in the same kind of vein as what Todd Bowley did at Chelsea, with a clean slate, with FFP. Because the reason why you got Wout Weghorst is FFP. You're at the limit of where you are, and your cash reserves ain't there. So with a new owner, you get a clean slate.
Yeah. So first of all, I think if you're asking, like, you know,
and it hasn't affected anything on the pitch. That's the thing.
Yeah. But I think what you have to realize, Kevin, is like from where Liverpool were. Okay, it's probably very, very hard to maintain that relentless standard that they were at, to just hang in there with City. You know, they won the league, obviously unlucky with the 95 points that season, but to try and stay at that standard with stuff going on. Whereas United are, you know, Ten Hag's come in and, like, Jesus, I could have gone in and improved the way that they were playing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that it's easier, you know, the general consensus of most sane, you know, reasonable IQ level supporters is that actually, you know, we're doing okay, we're doing pretty well, and then actually you build on that. You say, actually, we're doing better than we thought we would do. You know, Liverpool have been, you know, I completely agree with the midfield shout. I mean, you know, as good a footballer as he is, Thiago, I thought Thiago was the wrong signing to 18 months ago, 2 years ago.
On top of the fully, it should be in the icing, not.
I just think you need. When he came in, I was just like, right, where are the legs? Like, I think the loss of Wijnaldum is massively understated. Like, I think he was huge. I don't think the other lad in midfield, what's his name, the black lad, Keita, I don't think he's up to the top standard. I don't think he's quite there. And Henderson, who's been a brilliant servant, like, he's not getting any younger. And of course, and you know, James Milner is older than myself, so well, he isn't, but you know what I mean. So he's like, it massively needed freshening up. I'm not so sure. Like, did they need a Gakpo? You know,
yeah, we actually did.
Why did we? Did you think? Really?
No, we did. We did, because we needed Gakpo because we were playing Ox left wing, and Diaz is going to be out until March at least, so that could be 2 months.
Okay, so you're talking about you needed him to push for a top 4. You mean this year?
But I think the end of the season, Bobby's leaving anyway. Yeah. Or if he's not leaving, if he does sign an extension to his contract, he'll be the oldest of the 5 forwards that are at the club at 31, with Salah at 30, and the rest of them then are at a good age. You know, we were blessed, right? We were absolutely blessed with how reliable Sadio Mane was, Bobby Firmino was, and Mo Salah. They never got injured. If they did get injured, they missed a week or two, and they were straight back. They didn't get sent off. They didn't pick up booking suspensions. They were always there. Or it got to a stage where we were doing post-match like we do tonight. We'll pick a starting 11. It picked itself because they never missed. They were always fit, always available.
The thing is with Liverpool, okay, now is like if you just look through the team, through the squad, it's just like because the standard, you see the money now that's coming at Newcastle. I know they haven't gone hell for leather spending money in Newcastle, but they've massively improved. Obviously, United have got a whole pile better. But you look at Liverpool and you just think, right, Virgil van Dijk hasn't been at the same level since his injury. I don't think anybody can argue that point. I don't think he's been at the level since the injury. He's injured again, I think, for this game.
He's
tomorrow.
out until February.
I think Real Madrid.
I also think that regardless of whether he's at the levels he was previously or not, I also think whoever's standing next to him plays better when Virgil's there, and I think that could be a problem for them. And you just look through the rest of the side then. So then you've got a slightly aging, you've got an older midfield. The loss of Sadio Mane, a brilliant footballer, him, like absolutely brilliant footballer. Not the numbers of Salah, but just a brilliant footballer. And then obviously, Salah, since he signed his contract, it's not been so rosy either. So, they were only ever, could they have pushed on and actually realistically challenged City without putting their hand in their pocket this season? I think in the cold light of day, I don't think they ever could, really. If they didn't spend money, how could that squad have pushed City any closer? I think the only way was down, to be honest.
Yeah,
and I think the instability. I think undoubtedly there's going to be instability there, but I think United can mask that on the basis that we were maybe a top 7 club, and the only way really was up. To be fair,
yeah, Joe. We're going tomorrow with issues. You guys are flying and playing really well, really good open attacking football. How do you see it playing out tomorrow? Bear in mind, no Darwin for us, no Virgil for us. Your goal threat in Trossard is a miss because Trossard does love scoring against us.
He does love scoring.
You got to find, and our record at Brighton is immense.
De Zerbi loves scoring goals, whoever it is. So I
love giving you chances. Don't you worry about that. You'll get plenty.
Yeah, we got to figure out a new way to give up goals.
A lot of team supporters will probably say, "Oh, I'm happy Nunes isn't." They would be happy to have Nunes play against them because he misses this, that, and the other chance. Whereas us, we would be like, I don't want him to play against us because if he does play against us, he'll probably score because that's just the most Brighton thing to do. So I'm quite happy he's not in the side. However, for us, I think the game will be won in midfield. I think our midfield is just absolutely ridiculous at the moment with Pascal Gross, McAllister and Caicedo. We've got Lallana to come in if needs be. Gilmore's been really good as well. So we're really positive there. The more I hear you guys talk about Liverpool struggles, the more confident I'm getting for the game, to be honest. On our podcast, I sat on the fence and I said another 3-3 draw.
Oh, go on then. Are you ready to get off?
I'm getting off the fence and I'm getting off on the Brighton side of the fence.
Good
and I'm
boy.
going to say we win it 3-2. I do think you'll score goals. You will be a threat because we're not amazing defensively under De Zerbi, but it's very much high risk, high reward football. And we know we'll concede goals, but we know we're going to score goals as well. And I'm quietly confident that we'll go into tomorrow really giving it a good go. So yeah, 3-2 to Brighton.
What would your score predict? So you're going 3-2. Tim, what would your score prediction for tomorrow be?
Me, to echo that, I think the midfield is a key area. I think Liverpool are missing some significant players on the day. I think the events of obviously the stuff off the pitch and just the general form and just the sort of unrest. And I think the motivation for Brighton of actually leapfrogging Liverpool, I strongly fancy Brighton, actually. I think like, I wouldn't say, hammer. I think they'll win comfortably. I think 2-0, 3-1, something of that.
Okay. Fair enough. Luke, how do you see it going? Score prediction.
I'm not so sure. Score prediction. Do I go head or do I go with my heart? I'll go with my heart and I'll say 2-1 Liverpool, but I will not be surprised if Brighton do a Brentford and just overpower that midfield. We'll give them chances. We'll give them a bucket full of chances. So I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool, but I will not be surprised if we lose this game.
Right. I'll go for a 3-2 for Liverpool, purely and simply because Brighton do give chances.
But we give more.
Bright, I know, but this is where I trust Alisson, and I trust the fact that we can score more than them. It's going to have to, something has to change, right? And the thing is, even if you look back at the Wolves game, the goals that Wolves scored, we really handed them up. I mean, the one bit of quality that came in that game came from Trent's ball into Darwin. And Trent, since he's come back from the World Cup, has been outstanding. Some of the passing, some of the assists that he's getting, and the hockey assists that he's getting are ridiculous. We do create loads of chances. I think we've created the second highest amount of chances in the league this season. The opposite side is we've conceded, we're giving up the second highest amount of chances. But the one thing I like about Brighton is Brighton will play. Brighton won't park the bus. Brighton will leave space behind, and they will leave you something to run into. How we line up, I don't know, but it's a fascinating game. It could be 3-2 the other way. It could be another 3-3 draw. I don't know, but I think it's going to be the game of the weekend for football. Anyway, whoever is watching it, it's a criminal offence that it's a 3:00 kickoff and you guys are in the UK, don't get to watch it. But unless you're going. But the way the betting works out for tomorrow, William Hill have the best price on Brighton winning at 9-4. Betway Betway have it 11-4 for the draw. And Bet365, according to bookmakers.com, have Liverpool at best price 23-10. So, and I think you got to look at it as well. Our record at Brighton is we've never lost there in the Premier League.
But now we've got De Zerbi.
Yeah, you have De Zerbi, but you also have issues going the other way. It's like Arsenal did score 4 unanswered, really. So it's like you can be got at, but at the same time, so can we. You're playing Liverpool. Any side playing Liverpool at the minute will always fancy their chance. You go 1 down, you'll still fancy a chance. You go 2 down, get 1 back, they might rattle. That's where we are. We're back to where we were at the start of the Klopp era. But did you know there's only one AA? There's the last time that Brighton. It was funny. I was just researching this. The most expensive transfer signing from Brighton to Liverpool was who? Do you know?
Lawrenson.
£900,000. £900,000 at the time. Mark Lawrenson.
There you go.
And
my history.
When was that?
Yeah.
What year
that was
that?
August 1981. And 2 weeks later, we sold you Jimmy Case for 350,000.
Should have just done a swap deal plus cash.
That's right. Well, in fairness, I think we probably got the better end of the deal in the end because Lauro was. People know Mark Lawrenson as the pundit and the guy on the radio, the annoying old fella now. But back when he was a player, he was
Rolls Royce. He was class.
My dad tells me about him.
He was quick.
He
was seriously quick.
Yeah,
he was
panic,
rapid, but
unflustered.
Yeah,
calm on the ball.
I mean, look, it's going to be a great weekend of football. There's so much of it. It's going to be cracking games all the way up and down the league. We'll just wrap it up here. This show obviously is sponsored by bookmakers.com. Also, if you're new to the channel or new to the show, we've got a new charity stream that we're running for breast cancer awareness. Trying to raise up to 20,000. We're trying to raise €20,000. We're only launched about a week. We're 1,200 up already. The link is in the description. The link is also on all of our social medias. If you can donate, please do. If you can't, please share. It's for 11 women from Ashdown GA Club in Dublin who have decided to get together and train to run the Dublin City Marathon in October. I think they're 11 mad yokes, but they're going out in all weathers and they're training every night of the week, and anything that we can do to contribute to them raising the money that they need for breast cancer awareness, which touches way too many households. And it's just something we're delighted to do. We will never shut up about it, so just get used to it, basically. All right. On that note, Joe, where can people find you? And you should look for Joe, actually, because I've watched their content all week. It's absolutely brilliant. Where can they find you?
Thank you. So at Albion Obsessed on Twitter and all the other social medias. And yeah, just type in Albion Obsessed into YouTube and you'll find us. We are 1 subscriber away from 400. So if somebody wants to be our 400 subscriber, go and do it. So yeah, no, I really appreciate you guys.
Be that one. Get in there.
So yeah,
Tim, you looking forward to this weekend, mate? You got me. You'll be up early in the morning for it.
I'm having a big fight at the minute with Sharon's young lad Liam. Jack. Jack. It's his birthday tomorrow, and I've just found out that he's having like a party, like a football party at 1 o'clock up the road. And I'm what? And I'm like,
no.
Yeah, black sheep of the family. I said, enjoy it. I'll see you later.
By the way, Tim is my cousin, so like when he's
I'm throwing names around there, like everybody knows who Sharon is.
Everyone knows who Sharon is. Yeah, Tim is my cousin, so like, believe me, in our family we've got Chelsea fans, we've got a couple of Arsenal fans somewhere thrown in, United, Liverpool.
Locked away
no, good God, no. We all laugh at that.
No.
Well, Luke, what are you up to this weekend? Anything much going on?
For me?
Yeah, you.
I'm visiting my parents this weekend, so I'm
got no work. When do you come back for the UFC stuff? When's
next week? Next week is
UFC
Brazil.
Oh,
so I'll be doing content with Callum next week. We're doing a preview running up to that because I need to do more this year.
All right.
So
you're in Conor McGregor's house there with the big piano behind you.
I know Lucas cleaned up the bedroom. That's all that is. Well, Justin Collins was subscriber 402 to Albion Obsessed. So well done to Justin.
Thank you.
Well done to everyone in the chat. Thank you all again in the chat. You're always outstanding. Sorry I didn't get to read much of your comments tonight, but look, I forgot my glasses. That's just the truth. But look, on that note, we'll knock it on the head. Thanks for everyone for coming. Thanks to all the guests tonight. Really appreciate everybody coming on.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys next Friday. Tomorrow night, Matt and Chris are hosting the post-match. So if Liverpool manage to win away at Brighton, I'm the Jonah and I'm retiring. Good night.
Good night, lads.